Hello, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Welcome to EFA134 on this Monday, August 3rd. Today, I want to talk about, I took some notes today because I don't want to miss anything, and I want to make this short and sweet. I want to talk about my white privileges growing up, which I did not know I had, by the way, so thank you for pointing that out. And along with, I want to talk about the defunding term that you synchronize across this world that you've been using together, which the proper terminology that should be used is downsizing, not defunding, because it is not the people of the government that are the issue. It is the governance, which includes these specialty groups out there that have been extracting money for the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and for all their what's going on today, right? And we're going to talk about your budgets also. So, growing up in some would say the hood, right? It's called Ledbury here in Ottawa, the area. Then I went to Overbrook. And beautiful families that were raised in those neighborhoods and neighborhoods that over time brought a lot of specialty groups. Let's just say that individuals that I don't know. They bring a lot of violence with them all the time. Okay, so that neighborhood when I grew up, it was a really nice neighborhood initially, for what I was told, because I moved there when I was 2. And I came from a multiple children family, right? My father was a single income. My mother worked all the time. She had 9 children. One of them passed when she was 2. And then she raised, I believe, 6 other children, helped raise 6 other children. So having a family table of 10, 12, 13, 14 people at a table under one income roof, absolutely. Having a mother that's up from the crack of dawn till the beyond the sun setting. She always worked, right? She had to take care of all these children. And then it was also a time where there was no credit cards, no lines of credit. Like everything you wanted was paid cash. Like you didn't have any of these bank handouts and specialty this and specialty that and handout for this, handout for that. Like I'm talking about that when I was in the hood, it was like police presence all the time, like gang fights and or house raids, like broad daylight house raid. I think it was around 5, 6, 7 p.m. at night. It was like sunny like this, but this is like an overcast day. But I remember witnessing a house raid, witnessing a stabbing in the middle of the day, just sitting there watching a guy on the ground bleeding till the police came and blah, blah, blah. So that's the neighborhood I grew up in, right? But I still had foundation. I still had an upbringing. I still had a surrounding, i.e. my family, a mother that pulled me in all the time and it stopped me from going out and those kind of things. And I bring that up because over the years, those that know me know that I've worked in the prison system. I've worked in assessment units and treatment centers. I understand programs really, really well. I understand correctional facilities, detention centers, young offenders, female inmates. I've worked in all those institutions. I've worked in all those programs from the advocacy groups and et cetera and so forth. So when I speak from knowledge, training, and experience. But what I also speak of is those inmates that I ran up into over the years, those that would say, how did you get out? Right? Those that were raised in the same hoods, those that was raised in the same thing. What was the difference? It was my upbringing, surrounding, and foundation. My family, my mother, my father, my brothers, my sisters, my circle of friends, that we had similar families that forced us to stay away from trouble, right? Whether it was a back slap in the back of the head or being yelled at or being grounded. Like growing up, nobody stayed inside. Like if you were grounded, that was like, oh, like if you could not go outside today, ground somebody, man, they're in paradise, right? And I'm even talking about my own children, right? The world of smartphones and so on and so forth. So my upbringing, again, I say thank you for pointing out how privileged I was, because I remember going to the Salvation Army for all those free programs. I remember going to the free movie programs the school has. I remember the hand-me-down clothing. I remember patches on my jeans. I remember sewing patches on my clothes. I remember sewing my clothes. Kmart was my boutique, right? That it was Kmart here on Bank Street. Like today's I think it's a Farm Boy, but back then it was a Kmart, right? That was my clothes. Other than the hand-me-downs and so on and so forth. So what I want to get at today, and again, for pointing out my white privilege, the land behind me, my first job, I think it was like 8. My first job, I started collecting money since I was like 12 years old. Everything that I had as a child, pennies and quarters and everything, and on all my jobs working under the table at restaurants at like 10, 12, 14, all that stuff. And all those jobs that I had, and I saved my money. And then by my 20s, by 23, my first property, like this property here, I bought my wife when it was like 10 cents on a dollar compared to today. And the reason why it's 10 cents on a dollar compared to today, again, it's the governance, right? Again, it's the big government. I'll explain to you why. But the problem is not the problem is not the people. It's not the law enforcement. It's not the police. It's not the people working in government. It's not that. It's the abundance and gluttony of, when you say 80 to 90%, if you look at all budgets, people want to talk about defunding, like 80 to 90% of all money collected goes to pension, benefits, and salaries. That's most of those budgets. If you look at most government budgets, most police budget, that's what they're talking about, right? Because most of the money, if not all, and depending on which part of the world, 80 to 90% of all that money goes to pension, benefits, and salary. That means 10 to 20%, maybe 25%, depending on where, goes to all the rest, right? Like this country here, your winters, your summers, your buildings, your road maintenance, everything is around 20% of that goes to that. And if that, right? It's probably 15% now. So that's where the problem is. So it's when you enjoying your parks and you're enjoying your roads and you're enjoying your everything, don't thank the cities. Thank your builders. Thank your developers. Thank those that take the risk, that build and develop, because they're the ones paying for the sewers. They're the ones paying for the parkland fees. They're the ones that taking that financial risk, and hopefully they do their sales and that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, it's the homeowners, the buyers that pay for it. That's right. Like, it's the homeowners, the buyers, the building owners, the property owners, the landowners. All those people are the ones paying for it. And that's why when I bought this land, it was $10,000 an acre. Today it's around 150,000, 200,000, depending where you go, an acre, right? So, and it goes up, and it's because the big bulk of that money goes straight up, right to the governance, because they got to cover pension, benefits, and salary. 80 to 90% of all money goes there. And that's what happens. That's why I believe in governance. I believe in rules and regulations. Those that are burning buildings and flipping cars and destroying everything, you should be locked up. That, and no ifs or but, right? We can't have law-abiding law enforcement walking the streets peacefully. We can't have children going to school without having to see what I grew up watching. All that stuff, because we've empowered them. We've given them soapboxes and microphones, and all those groups out there, and I won't name them, but you know who they are. All those groups organizing all this, go to their budgets. Let's see how much money they actually spend on their community. They actually spend on the people. I'll guarantee you, they're probably very similar to the governance, where 75, 80, 90% of all the money goes to pension, benefits, and salary. And that's what happens. So it's the downsizing that you need. The downsizing so that we can have, instead of 10, 20%, we could have 30, 40%. Could you imagine putting money towards pollution, towards education, towards proper eating and nutrients and so forth, into programs that children could actually use? There's so many programs out there, valuable programs, from the spousal abuse programs to the children of non-nutrition and so on and so forth, to polluted waters throughout the world. And I can keep going on, and I've had podcasts on that, the top 4 killers on earth. It is not your mass, it is not your virus, it is not you. If you look at commonality, your top 4 killers on earth, it's your water, it's your pollution, being struck by, all that kind of stuff, motor vehicle type accidents, environmental stress, right? That's what it is. It's all about food and nutrition, stress, pollution, water. That's where your killers are on earth. And if you wanted to take care of your population, instead of getting them all sick through your nutrition and your food charts and so on and so forth, go back to real governance. Go back to putting your money where the mouth is of the people. Okay, the mouth of the people. And that's what I say. That so when I look back on my my white privilege that I had, and having to earn everything I had, and I did not get allowances, but I got a good upbringing. I got a solid upbringing. I got a man that hardly spoke, but when he did, I listened. I had a mother that would yell a lot and wait till your father gets home, which would never tell him, but she gave me a lot of guidance. But I look at that upbringing that I had with no financial help. Then my father lent me money when I did a few things here and there. Absolutely, I got my house. Did I pay him back right away? Bada boom, bada bing. Absolutely, because I was 23 years old when I bought my first property. I was 16, 17, 18 when I got my first car. I was using my sister's car as my father's car until then. But all that stuff, I earned it. I got it through jobs. I got it through money that I collected and money that I put away. My father didn't give me money for that, right? He didn't. And my parents did not have those means. So we earned it because they were one income household raising multiple children and raising the children of others. That's the upbringing that I had. And I talked about the Salvation Army and the hand-me-downs. That's the upbringing that I had. Nobody gave me nothing. I had to find out, like my father said, why did he not give me an allowance? And I opened a wallet in front of him. I think I was 8 years old at Christmas. Somebody gave me a wallet. My sister did. And I remember which sister, because I started a fight with my father, because I opened my wallet and I said to him, I'm going to put money in there. And he said to me, you're going to get up in the morning and you're going to earn it. You're going to learn to open your own doors in life. That's what he told me. So when me and my wife bought this land at 10 cents on a dollar because of where it's at today compared to what it was then, we cleared it by hand because we earned it. We got learned to get up in the morning, open our own doors in life. And she's very similar, identical to me, identical upbringing, and so on and so forth. So when I look back, and I look at the privilege that I had, and I look at the misinformation out there and the misguidedness that's going on in this world, and the people that are actually extracting the money from your governance to your specialty groups, look at their budgets. And when they say 80 to 90% of all that money goes to their pension, benefits, and salaries, they're right. And that's exactly what happens, right? And it's a downsizing that we need. It's a downsizing of these specialty groups that we need. It's a downside. Get the right people in the right positions, and keep your programs, the good ones, and keep your governance of law enforcement and structure that we have today. We built this structure. The people that came into this country, into your country, built this structure with hard work and discipline and upbringing. Like this didn't come just like the mystical, magical unicorns of life. You, the people that are destroying this, shame on you. Shame on you. And what you're doing wrong is you're going after the wrong people. You should be completely changing your governance, completely changing those specialty groups, and then start looking at where should the money go? Should all the money go to pension, benefits, and salaries, or should the money go toward pollution, towards nutrition, towards programs, you know what I mean? Jean-Guy Bourguignon,